live. I'm not really sure. If you guys are able to see me and hear me, please let me know that in the chat room. Hi guys, hi everyone. I think we are live now. Those who are joining in, please let me know if you are able to see me and hear me. I think we are live now. Good to see so many people join us. Hope to see more. Those who are joining us, can you let me know if you can hear me and see me? It would be good to know if you can hear me and see me. I think we are mostly live now. Yeah, we are live now. Yeah. Good to see more the guys who are joining us. Hi Vivek, hi Uday. Good to see all of you join us, and I hope to see more of you joining us soon. In this particular stream, I'll be discussing CAT syllabus, how to actually think of the syllabus, how to prepare for it, and how to actually apportion the different months, what time, what should you focus on initially, what you should focus on later on. Okay, so good to know all of you guys who are here. If you have any doubts about what you should be focusing on, what are your strengths, weaknesses, anything related to CAT, please feel free to actually put your doubts over here. I'll be trying to answer all of them as much as possible. So hi, good to see you, Mahi. Good to see all of you guys who are joining us. I would request anybody who's joining us to please like this stream. It would help us reach more students, and basically that would motivate us to hold more of these streams. If we reach a lot of students, then we feel that we should do more and more of these streams. So if you want to see more of us, please do like the stream. Good to see most of you guys are this. Mahi is asking about the Arun Sharma book. See, the Arun Sharma book is basically mostly made up of previous year's CAT papers. It is very important to solve previous year's CAT papers, but you need to do more than that. You need to solve more questions, different types of DILR sets, more than just the basic that is given there. Also, you need a lot more practice than just that book. So while it is a good book and you should solve all previous year's papers and previous year's question papers, you should be doing more than that. That is, I would say, a part or an important part of your preparation, but you need to be doing more than that. Having said that, also one more thing that I'd like to request you, we are in towards the end, nearing the end of April. Before the end of April, I'd suggest that every one of you should at least take one previous year's paper, preferably from CAT 2021. Okay, so we have put up all the CAT previous year's CAT in on Kraku. Just Google search previous year's CAT papers, and we have all of the available CAT papers online. They are available in PDF mode as well as in mock mode. I want you guys to actually search and find those. At least give one previous year paper before end of April. And why do I say that? You need to have one real interaction with the exam, so that you get a sense of what this exam is. I'll be telling you the syllabus. You'll have some understanding. Okay, this comes and this comes and these topics come. But the best experience is when you actually have the experience of seeing the question paper. So please do take at least one previous year CAT in the mock format. I would suggest start with 2021 because that is most likely to be the closest one to CAT 2022. So good to see all of you guys over here. Please do search for the previous year's CAT papers, and please take at least one before the end of April. You should have some reference point. Basically, how do you know whether you are improving, whether you are growing, whether you are you are really learning or not? You should be able to point or plot your improvement over time. No, you should be able to say that okay, in April I was here, in March, in May I was here, in June I was here, in July I was here. So at least before the end of April, take one mock. If you do not want to take dash CATs right now, at least take the previous year CAT mocks. That is very important that you take the previous year CAT papers. Okay. So hi Abhilash. Abhilash is asking, ma'am, one thing happens with me whenever I study you start forgetting things. Don't worry. See, Abhilash, try to simplify the job at hand at any point of time. If you feel that you get overloaded with work, then try to do it for smaller durations of time. Think that I'm only going to sit for like 20 minutes to 30 minutes and I'm going to do just this one small concept and I'm going to solve only questions related to this concept. What often happens is that when you see the entire CAT syllabus, you get overwhelmed by the amount of work that has to be done. Especially in April, you feel that okay, there is like so much to be read, so much to be done, and people just shut the book and leave it. They stop preparing because they feel overwhelmed by the amount of work that is needed to be put in. Simplify your task. Just say that today I'm going to do just this one small task. If you want, just download our 7-month so we have Kraku's 7-month plan. So over here also we have put up the PDF. So the 7-month plan tells you exactly over the course of 7 months what concepts you should cover on each day. So just focus on that one concept. So you will not feel overloaded, you will not feel distracted. If you try to do even just arithmetic, it is so vast that you will feel overloaded, you will feel distracted. So we have broken it down in the PDF that is there. You can see the PDF over here. I'll ask them to share the link of the PDF in the description box. Basically download the PDF, print it out and follow it. Try to, whenever you have a big, huge task to do, a lot of things to do, try to make a list and break it down into simpler parts. It's easier to get things done when you simplify the process. If you think that I have to do 1,000 things and you focus on all 1,000 at the same time, you're going to feel overloaded. So please download the 7-month PDF plan and follow it. If you're looking for a course to join, please do check out Kraku's 7th-month course. So it started on Monday, so you will not be lagging or far behind. We have just covered the basics of the CAT exam, the different sections, etc. So do check out Kraku's 7-month course. We have put the link over here also. So please do check out Kraku's 7-month course. It just started this Monday. It gives you a step-by-step plan to crack CAT, what you have to do every single day. It gives you a list of videos to watch. It gives you a list of concept tests to take. It tells you how many questions you have to solve. It does all of the work for you so that you can just focus on doing your job. You don't have to worry about what I should do now, what I should learn from, where should I get this information, nothing. You don't have to do any of that. You just need to focus on completing the tasks that are given in the course. Okay, so please do check out our 7-month course. Yeah, good to see a lot of guys joining in now. So those who have joined us, please like the stream, please share the stream with whoever is preparing for CAT. It will help us quite a bit in reaching more students. I see more people have joined us than the likes. So please like the stream, guys. It would help us quite a bit in and it would motivate us a lot to hold more of these streams. We are holding almost one every day, and if you want to see more streams, if you want to see regular streams, please do like the stream. Okay. I'll be trying to answer as many of your questions as possible. In this particular stream, I'll be discussing the CAT syllabus. A lot of times when people see the CAT syllabus, okay, this topic is there, people think that all of them are equally important, but that is not the case. Some CAT topics are far more important than other CAT topics. And you would be surprised that most of the students do not put the time according to the importance or the weightage. So here I'll be discussing the importance of each CAT topic and how you should actually prepare along those same lines. So if something comes far more often, you should spend more time practicing from those particular areas. Okay, so good to see all of you guys. Asha is asking, see, basically you need to, Asha, there will be probably in this case there might be a concept gap. So just seeing previous year's questions or how questions are solved might not help you. So you need concept coverage in that case. So do check out Kraku's 7-month course or basically learn the base concept. So if you are not able to solve any particular question, you should ask, okay, this question requires prior knowledge of concept A, concept B, concept C. After you have that concept coverage, then you can come and try to solve on your own. Without concept coverage, practice is not meaningful. So you need concept coverage and practice. So both of them, when you have them together, then you are able to solve questions on your own. Okay. Best sources for practicing questions so that all required structures are familiarized. Rajib, I would say go to Kraku's study room. We have literally, I think, around over 15,000 questions, I think 16,000 questions. And we have like a huge repository of questions of all types. So you will see hundreds and hundreds of sets. You will be exposed to different DILR sets so that you will be challenged all the time. Similarly with RCs, we have hundreds of RCs. You have thousands and thousands of quant questions. So it's essentially the place where if you have even 15 minutes, go to the study room and take a small 15-minute test. All of our study room has been essentially organized in 15 minutes test, and at any point of the time, whenever you are free for 15 minutes, go to the study room and take a 15 minutes test. I'm sure that if you do that as a consistent habit, by CAT day, you would have solved thousands of questions and you would be far more proficient in many aspects of CAT. Okay, with that, I'll start with the stream. Let's take a look at what we are going to discuss today. I'll give you a basic overview of the exam format, and I'll also discuss the weightage and syllabus that you have to follow across the what is the weightage and syllabus for each section. If you have any more doubts and questions, please do post it here. I'll be taking a look at it. I know there are some more questions. I'll be answering them in like 5 minutes. So keep posting here and I'll try to go through them and answer more. So let us take a look at the exam format. Usually I used to say that given that this year due to COVID, the exam format, essentially in 2020 and 2021, due to COVID, the exam was shortened from 3 hours to 2 hours. The number of questions was reduced from 100 questions to now 66 questions. So much fewer questions, lesser time. I used to say in 2020 that okay, by 2021 we'll surely go back to the old format. We'll have 3 hours test. But I'm not really sure at this point of time for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is that we don't know when COVID will end. And more importantly, we don't know whether the IIM paper setters might want to go back to the old format, because even this is working fine for them. So in the absence of any kind of certainty about the future, the most likely scenario is that the current next year's or CAT 2022 is also most likely to be a 2-hour exam. And if it is a 2-hour exam, what we expect is we will expect somewhere between 66 to 70 questions in it. Okay. Now you have 2 hours to solve the exam, and we'll be discussing how many questions will come from each topic, how you should go about preparing it. Let's start with the first topic that comes. So basically in your exam, you will have VARC section first, then you will have the DILR section, and then last you will have the Quant section. Now this has been the standard format that is followed. You are not given a chance to go or choose the order of the sections like GMAT or anything of that sort. But what it means is that you will be freshest in the VARC section. You'll be slightly stressed out by the DILR section because this would be the second section. And by the time people come to the Quant section, they are very tired. They are mentally fatigued. And if the DILR has been catastrophically bad, they are very likely to mess up the Quant section also, because DILR sometimes, a lot of times people actually don't do well. Because DILR, suppose if you don't get a set, you lose the entire time that you spent on it. And with 4 sets, it's very likely that instead of solving 3 sets, you end up with solving 2 sets or even 1 set. No, many good students ended up solving only 1 set correctly in DILR this year. So with that, what happens is that with that, your entire confidence is shaken and you have to immediately go on to Quant. So it's important to remember that this is likely to be the same pattern. You will be fresh for VARC, but you have to build the mental stamina for DILR, and also the mental toughness that if something actually goes wrong, if you don't do as per expectations in DILR, you should be able to dust yourself up. Remember, if DILR is difficult for you, it was difficult for everybody. You might not think that you can convert at say after solving 6 questions set or after solving 10 questions, but you never know, because others might have also struggled and might not have been able to solve even 6 questions. So do not get stressed out by your DILR attempt. You have to then focus on the Quant attempt. This is a general exam format. Now let us deep dive into each of the individual sections. Ask whatever you want to about the sections, format, syllabus, everything. I'll try to answer as much as possible. Those who are joining us, I would please request you, please like the stream. I don't see a lot of people who have liked the stream, and far more people are actually watching the stream. So please like the stream. It motivates us to do more of these, and it helps us actually hold more of these streams. So please like this stream. Okay, so best source. Okay, I'm weak in Quant. Please tell me what to do. Study to at least clear the sectional cutoffs. I'll cover this later in depth in the Quant section. But I would suggest the first thing that you need to really focus on is arithmetic. Arithmetic is like half of the section. I would say time, speed, distance, time and work. Time and work, especially between time, speed, distance and time and work, time, speed, distance tends to be harder. Time and work is simpler. So focus on time and work. Averages, ratio and proportion tends to be easier. Mixtures and solutions tends to be easier. Focus on that. Profit and loss tends to be easier. There are few formulas to remember and it is generally easy to solve them. Interest tends to be easier. People mistake the level of difficulty of many of these questions, but they are in fact easier to do and more deterministic. Especially you can get very good at it with practice. So focus on arithmetic and do that very, very well. And it is important to do well in arithmetic because it is like half of the paper. Okay. So let us start with this. How to solve RC questions, I'll come to that, Alok. How to identify which set to solve first in RC and DILR. I'll also cover that, don't worry, Rajdeep. Okay, thank you, Mahi. We hope that you keep taking them daily, and if you take the Kraku daily targets, I'm sure that you will do very, very well. Also, a reminder to those who are joining us now, please do check out Kraku's previous year's papers. If you are just joining us now, what I would request all of you guys to at least solve one 2021 previous year paper in mock format by the April end. I want more students to have at least a starting point of their preparation. Without knowing where you stand in terms of last year's CAT 2021, it would be difficult for you to assess how you need to improve. So do not wait till September, do not wait till October. Start with at least the previous year's papers now. You need to solve. See, between now and November, you need to solve all 3 of the 2021 papers. You need to solve all 3 of the 2020 papers. So that is 6 papers. Even if you take one a month, you will be able to solve it till November. So, please just start with one paper every single month and make sure that you solve one paper from 2021 before the end of April. If you have already given CAT 2021, pick a paper from a slot which you didn't attend. Okay, so please solve at least one CAT 2021 previous year's paper. Okay. What is the quality of Kraku study room? Is it that the level of CAT? Yes, exactly. It is the level of CAT. It is the form. We have thousands of questions and we basically have an adaptive platform. So you start off with easier questions, and as you go deeper and deeper into a topic, you get more and more difficult questions. If you're not able to solve that, you fall back into easier questions. So what happens is that we are building your ability to solve questions along the way. So you start off with easy questions, you get some idea, oh, this is the concept needed, these are the way I should write the equations. Then you start getting harder and harder questions. If you get too hard a question and you're not able to solve, you come back down. So basically it strengthens your ability over time. So I would suggest definitely it is one of the best ways to practice. Okay. Okay, total number of RCs, I'll be covering that over here. Daily target par with mock questions, or is it for concept building only? No, daily targets are actually very on par with mock questions. They are moderate difficulty level, exact CAT difficulty level, and we explain them in detail. They are not easy questions at all. We have video solutions for all of them, and we explain them in complete depth and detail, so that if you just do the daily target and you make sure that you see the video solution, you will by default learn almost everything that is to know. You might not learn it in the structured way, but you will. We are so thorough with the explanations that with each daily target you learn. Okay. Okay, so let's go on to the concept of VARC section. So as you know that in last year's CAT we had 24 questions. Of that, 16 were RC questions and 8 were VA questions. So what do you mean RC questions? You have reading comprehension questions. A passage is given, generally 500 words, around 500 words passage, and you are asked 4 questions on it per passage. So there were 4 into 4. So there were 4 RCs of 4 questions each. So that is a total of 16 questions. Each of the RCs was not overly long. They were like RCs of 500 words approximately, and the content was fairly readable. Rarely will you find any CAT RC which is difficult to read or unreadable as such. But given that there were some RCs which were difficult to read like in CAT 2020, so you should not say that okay, this is not readable, I will not practice it at all. But generally the format is that they are readable RCs, and they are basically the questions that are asked require you to think about the RCs, to essentially digest the information given and process it, infer from it. So the RC reading comprehension basically tests your comprehension skills, in the sense that can you take information and understand the inferences of it. So basically, if you say that the information is that the sales are falling, people are turning away from this particular company and moving to company B, then if you see all of that information, you can infer that the company is on a downward slope, that it is not doing well, and it is probably has to do something to actually buckle itself up or change course, or it is going to slowly lose all of its market share to its competitor. So even if some amount of information is given, based on your understanding and your reasoning, you should be able to infer a lot more than what is directly given in the passage. That is essentially what is tested. Now we come to the concept of parajumbles, OSC parajumbles. So parajumbles, essentially what is given, the third part is actually para summary, which is not written over here. So we have around 5 questions from parajumbles. OSC parajumbles will be 2 and theta parajumbles will be 3. All of them are theta parajumbles. If you are not familiar with the vocabulary surrounding it, theta stands for type in the answer type. So TITA, type in the answer. And these are basically where you will be given like an input box, and you have to give input the order of the sentences. So if you are given 4 sentences, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to say that, okay, to unscramble the paragraph, third sentence should come first, then the first sentence should be there, then 2 should be there, then 4 should be there. If I order the sentences in this particular order, then it forms a coherent paragraph. Then you are supposed to type it this code in the input box, and that's why it's called a theta parajumble. OSC parajumble is slightly different. Instead of giving you 4 sentences, they'll give you 5 sentences, and you have to figure out which of these 5 sentences is the odd one out. Does 2 fit or does 2 not fit in the given paragraph? So if 2 doesn't fit, what it means is that 1, 3, 4, 5 in some order will form a coherent paragraph. So maybe 5, 3, 4, 1 forms a coherent paragraph, and 2 is therefore the odd one out. So odd one out is, OSC is basically out of context. It is also called as the odd one out, where you have to find out which of the given 5 sentences is the odd one out. And the last VA question that is para summary. You get 3 questions of it, at least that was the case last year, and you have to basically summarize the paragraph. You have to find what salient points should be there in a para summary, what are the main points that cannot be missed, and you have to pick the correct summary which does not distort the meaning, which encapsulates all the relevant points in the answer. So this is basically the VARC section. But a deeper dive, we need to understand what is likely to be asked, what kind of questions are asked, what is the how do you actually prepare for it. And here I have tried to take a look at CAT 2021 and give you a perspective from slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, the type of RCs that came, the type of paragraphs that came for parajumbles, the type of paragraphs that came for para summary. I'll be answering some of your questions, but I want you to look at this particular table and see the different types of RC sets that actually come. One more thing, I would request all of you guys who are seeing this, guys, please like the stream, please share the stream with whoever is watching. It would help us and motivate us quite a bit in holding more of these streams as such. So thank you very much for those who are joining us. Please like the stream and please share with whoever is preparing for CAT. Okay, do IIMs take candidates who get 59% in graduation? Devanjali, do check out Krako's call predictor and percentile predictor. Different IIMs have different requirements, so you need to go and check over there. Okay, even IMC, and this year in fact many of these have removed the graduation weightage, because due to COVID it has become very difficult to evaluate the ability of students and their marks as such, because there hasn't been proper formal assessment in many colleges. So many colleges have actually removed that graduation percentage. So do check out the call predictor and percentile predictor and you will be able to get this. So Mahi is asking how many RCs. There are 4 RCs of 4 questions each, at least in the last this. Okay, what is the best way to maximize attempts in VARC? See, basically firstly you have to, instead of focusing on attempt rate, first focus on accuracy, because accuracy also determines what you will do first. If you are very good at RCs, do all the RCs first. If you are very good at VAs, do the VAs first, VA questions first. Ideally, the ideal scenario is you do at least 3 RCs, at least, and you do at least 5 of the 8 VA questions. So that would be 17 questions, which I think is the, unless the paper is extremely difficult, I think 17 is a good attempt as such. Not a great attempt, but a good attempt at least. If you go below 17, then you get into this dicey area of whether it will be enough to clear the sectional cutoffs or not. So ideally, I would suggest that try to do 3 RCs and at least 5 VAs. Having said that, one big caveat to this is that whether or not you are able to solve the parajumbles, whether or not you are able to solve the OOC parajumbles, you should put in something, because they are type in the answer type questions, there is no negative marking. So you should always attempt all OOC parajumbles and all theta parajumbles. You should put in at least some values, some order of sentences. You should not let it go blank. So at least all of them should have some attempt as such. In case you are good at VARC, this should be 8. You should attempt all VARC questions then if you are good at this. And you might actually compensate for it by doing fewer number of RC questions, or you might not be able to finish the third RC completely. But at least do 2 RCs, and if you are good at VA, do all VA. You should at least in all cases try to do 2 RCs out of 4. Going below 2 RCs is extremely dangerous. Ideally, you should do 3 RCs. To safeguard for the fact that you might not understand a particular RC. Some RC might actually just completely go over your head, or you might not understand the implications of some parts of the RC. So to protect from a case or a scenario like that, you should at least have 3 attempts, so that even if one RC doesn't go as per plan, you have 2 good attempts as such. Okay, so always make sure you have at least 3 RCs plus at least 5 VA. Okay. Okay, sorry Mohini, I'll try to slow down a bit. If you guys are having any difficulty, do let me know. Okay, author's position. Okay, Asha, we'll having a lot of free classes, don't worry about it. Mahi, if you're asking about how to answer author's opinion kind of questions, we'll try to hold a stream for that. That's a very specific question, and we'll try to answer that when we, how to answer questions of that type. That raises the important question. Remember, in all of these RCs, you won't be asked direct questions. You won't say that, okay, if the author has given a scientific RC and he says that, okay, this vaccine helps with the XYZ, they won't ask you XYZ directly in the question as such. So all of the questions would require some amount of logical thinking, some amount of reasoning by default. No question would be a sitter, at least highly unlikely that any question would be a sitter as such. Okay. Okay. It's okay, Pratik, you would be appearing for CAT 2022 without work experience, but that is fine. A lot of students are in the same boat as you, because CAT 2021 has been a rather exceptional year because of COVID. So a lot of students have experienced what you have experienced. That is, this will not really be a big impediment to your interview process or anything of that sort. So have confidence in yourself, focus on CAT 2022. Okay, how to judge which RC should one pick or solve first? I would suggest that you should have an idea of your strengths and weaknesses. You should know what type of RCs you do well in. So, for example, some people do very well in persuasive RCs. Some people do well in informative RCs, particularly where they know the information. If you're good at economics and any RC comes on economics, you'll be able to solve it faster than most students, because you won't have to spend time understanding jargon or technicalities as such. Similarly, if you are somebody who has like some BSc degree and a simple similarly science kind of article comes, or a scientific passage comes, you should definitely attempt it, because you have a likely better chance of actually solving it than somebody who does not come from a science background. So whatever actually are your strengths, you should pick the RC based on that. Again, we always categorize RCs based on like philosophical RC, informative RC, scientific RCs. So you should have practice of all different kinds of RCs. And once you practice, you will know that, okay, I do well in informative RCs, but not so well. The one thing that I want you to take away from this particular slide. So if you see, there are a lot of informative and scientific RCs, informative scientific, analytical scientific, and analytical. These are essentially RCs which are kind of what you would experience in essays based on culture, art, languages, art forms, music, dance. Then you have scientific RCs based on chemistry, biology, physics, natural sciences, climate change. All of these, you have a lot of essays that are written on these topics, but these generally do not feature in newspapers. So if you are reading based only out of newspapers, what you will find is that you will not be exposed to all of these important types of RCs. Expository RC is also a type of RC where somebody is explaining something. So for example, something from the historical context, or even something that is out of pop culture. All of these are essentially RCs you will not be exposed to unless you go out looking for them. So I would suggest that while it is good to read the news, it's good to read opinion articles, you need to diversify where you read from. You need to go and read from scientific magazines. So there are many scientific magazines, including National Geographic, Scientific American, Smithsonian Magazine. There are very good essays from Aeon Essays. So go and read from different sources so that you have exposure to these type of RCs. And if you look at it, they are actually far more common than the persuasive RCs. Persuasive RCs is where the author is trying to persuade you. So for example, every kind of political opinion or political piece is generally a persuasive RC because the author wants you to have their to follow their particular policy or political policy. So if somebody is writing pro BJP or pro Congress, you would have that kind of steer to the entire conversation. Now the reason why that is not a good source to read is because firstly, your CAT is unlikely to put anything political in their RC passages as such. Secondly, it is repetitive. Almost all news is political all the time, and which means that your other faculties of information, science, etc. are not developed. So stop, do not exclusively read from newspapers, diversify your reading sources. One more thing that you have to take off, and those, please just keep posting your questions. I'll try to answer as many of them as possible. And one more thing that you have to remember is that in all of this, if you see even the VA section, para summary, para jumbles, one of the core competencies that is tested across the VA section is your comprehension skills. So doing active reading and reading every single day from diverse sources is super important. Okay, so let me answer a few more questions and let's see what people have been asking. Okay. Ideal time to solve one RC and one VA question. See, basically I would suggest that if you're doing VA because you're good at VA, you should try to solve the 8 questions that are there in under 10 minutes so that you have like 30 minutes for the RCs. 10 to 12 minutes. 12 minutes is also okay. But don't go beyond that because VA should be done faster. Now, if you come to RCs, I would suggest that you should try to do them in under like 8 to 9 minutes per RC as such. Target 8 to 9 minutes, even if you reach 10 minutes just to ensure accuracy, that is fine. See, ideally, you should see that within the first 10 minutes, you have completed at least one RC. So in the next 10 minutes, you are able to complete, you will be faster after you have started out as such. Initially, people get flustered, they take a lot of time to read the first passage. So just focus, calm down. You should ideally be able to read, digest that, write down the main point of each this and answer 4 questions in under 8 to 9 minutes easily. Even if it takes 10 minutes, do not panic. Just focus and target 8 minutes or 9 minutes for the next RC. That's it. Okay. Ma'am, which all IIMs do not give weightage to graduation marks. We are actually updating our call predictor and percentile predictor. Please do go and check it out and see based on your profile what are the colleges where you are likely to. Okay. Should I paraphrase each paragraph while skimming or just run through one time and then look at the question afterwards and then look for answers? Rajiv, what I always suggest is doing active reading. So what I mean by active reading is whenever you are reading the passage, every paragraph, write down the gist of the paragraph. I'm not saying summarize it. Summary is different. Summary means that you don't miss anything important. Gist of the paragraph means the heart of the paragraph. Even if you write down what the author is trying to do through that paragraph, that is okay. So for example, if you are writing down a scientific kind of an RC, initially the author will give you the significance of the development. So they are saying, okay, understanding the gene network of fruit flies is important because X, and they'll give you the significance of that. Then they'll introduce the research and say that, okay, a new research found XYZ. They'll introduce the findings of the research. Then they will discuss the findings and what they mean in real life applications. So there is a general format to how many of these RCs goes. So you might not you don't need to write down what are the findings or what are the relevant points of the this as such. You just write down what the author is trying to say through each paragraph. Significance of the findings, that's it. The findings found findings supported this conclusion. Just if you write the very bare basics, that should be enough. Once you have written down that, find out the main point of the overall passage. You need not write down the main point of the overall passage, but you should at least know what it is, and then go on to the questions. Always do that. Your accuracy will improve immensely by doing this simple process. Okay. Yeah, Ankit, we are trying to give the formula book. We are trying to send it to all the students who have taken the full course, so do not worry. I would like to see the questions first and then try to find out the answer from the passage. I don't read the passage line by line. Is it a good strategy? I don't think this is a good strategy, because you should read the passage line by line. You should have a very, very good hold on the passage. You have the time to do that. See, essentially, the passage gives you what is the author trying to say and what the author is not trying to say. If you go and take it, see from the lens of the questions, firstly, your understanding of the passage slightly changes and slightly twists, and you're likely to make errors by doing that. Far more importantly, you will never feel that you have a proper hold on the passage. If you're not properly read the passage, you're never really sure what is in that, and you'll keep second guessing yourself. I always follow this particular method, because at the end of all this writing down of main point and all, I have a perfect grasp on the passage, because I have spent so much time thinking about it. I know exactly what is there in the passage. Then I don't second guess myself in the questions. The questions go faster, because when I see the questions, I know at least that, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong. Then I just, if there is something specific or detail is required, I can go back to the passage and look up that detail. But when I have a very good hold on the passage, I do not spend time on the question as such. I do not spend, okay, is it A or C, A or C, A or C? I don't need to spend time doubting myself then. Okay. Okay. Mohini, sorry, but this is in English, and we hope that you also get accustomed to English. I'll try to speak slowly if you are having difficulty following English. I like to see the questions first and then try to, okay. Should we complete all RCs first and then switch to VA? And in VA, what should be the priority of attempting this? Rajiv, that depends on you. What is your personal strength? I personally feel that my strength is RCs, so I always finish all RCs before going to VA. My accuracy in VA is not great. So because of that, I always finish RCs before going to VA. But if your accuracy in VA is better than the accuracy in RC, you should do the other way around. You should finish your VAs and then come to the RCs. Or sometimes some students find reading passages back to back very daunting. What they feel is that once they have read one passage, they are unable to read another passage just off the back of it. So what you should do in that case is try to intermix VA and RC. Do one RC, go and do one or two VA, come back, do the second RC, then go and do one or two VA. That break helps people switch on and off as such. Okay. Let's see the next section. So we'll now focus at the questions as now let's focus on the quant section. If you have any doubt about the quant section, please try to put the this here. SK, if you feel lost reading the whole passage, the point is that you don't read the entire passage in one go. You read one paragraph, write down the summary or the gist of that one paragraph. You're looking at one small paragraph at a time, and what that does is that removes this feeling of being overwhelmed. What you're doing is you're seeing 500 words, trying to remember the entire 500 words and feeling overwhelmed by it. You should see the 20-30 words that are, or like 50 words that are there in one paragraph, read that paragraph, write down a 5 to 6 word summary of or gist of that paragraph. Then go on to see the next paragraph. The next paragraph will be around 100 words, getting into the details of it. Do not bother yourself with the details. Just write what is the gist of it. What is the author trying to say through it? What is the point being made? Just write that down. And once you have that, okay, once you have read through the passage like that, you can always go and look at the points that you have written. And once you go and see the points, it becomes clearer what is the author trying to do through the passage. So if you say that you have written down points, gives the context, gives the significance, gives advantage 1, gives advantage 2, gives advantage 3, gives a disadvantage, then finally concludes this is a good finding. So when you see that structure that you have written down, what you will realize is that the author is discussing the pros and cons And finally weighs in saying that the pros outweigh the cons. So once you write down that basic bare bone skeletal structure, you don't feel overwhelmed anymore, because you are no longer looking at the passage, you are just looking at that summary that you have to work with. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the quant section. This is the 2018, 2019, 2020. The 2021 is in the next slide. I'll be coming to that. So the first thing that you should notice over here is the number of questions have gotten lesser in 2020, because it became a 2-hour, the number of questions became from 34 to 26. But the pattern that remained constant, if you see, is that this is roughly 60%, this is roughly 60%. So you will see that out of 34 questions, how many? 21 were from quant, 21 were from arithmetic and geometry. Similar trend continued even when the number of questions got lesser. So here you had 26 questions, but even then, even when you had 26 questions, 15 were from arithmetic and geometry. So you can see that at least 50 to 60% of your quant section is just two topics, arithmetic and geometry. Of these two topics, arithmetic is the easy one, geometry is the harder one. Geometry questions can generally be much more complex, much more time consuming than arithmetic questions. So if you see that, what should be your ideal first thing that should come to your mind? I have to really ace arithmetic, and that is what I want all of you to go back and remember. Your foundation of a good attempt is going to come from arithmetic. Time and work should be easy for you to do. Time, speed and distance, just solve a lot of questions. You can do questions from time, speed and distance. There's only that much complexity that you can introduce in a time, speed, distance question. I know, because I set papers and it's impossible to set very difficult time, speed, distance questions. They'll just be lengthy, but they'll not be difficult or impossible to do. Averages, ratio and proportion, the same. There's only so much complexity that you can introduce over there. So what that means is that all of these questions can be easily be done. And if they can easily be done, it can easily be solved. So you should remember that this arithmetic should be your friend in your CAT quant attempt, especially those who struggle with, those who come from non-engineering backgrounds, who struggle with algebra. Your friend is arithmetic. If you ace it, there is no holding you back. So make sure that your arithmetic is rock solid, strong in your CAT quant. Now geometry is harder, but that doesn't mean that you should leave it, because if you just see the trend, a lot of questions come from geometry. I'll show you the 2021 slots also. Again, the same thing happens. There are 22 questions, of which how many come from arithmetic and geometry? This is 12. All throughout, there were 12 out of 22 questions that came from arithmetic plus geometry. And always remember, the arithmetic questions are very doable. The geometry questions might be just slightly harder, but all are also doable. When you have such a huge skewed syllabus towards arithmetic and geometry, you should really try to ace this. This also means that your 50% of your time for preparing for quant should be on these two topics. A lot of people spend all of their time on algebra. For some reason, they feel that if they do algebra, arithmetic and geometry will just follow. But that doesn't work out. Make sure all 50% of your practice time is focused on arithmetic and geometry. Whether you're good at arithmetic or not, whether you're good at geometry or not, you should spend a lot of time, half of your time, focused on solving questions from this particular topic. Now let us take a look at the second most important thing that comes after this 60% is done. After this big 60% is done, the next big chunk comes from algebra, and algebra questions are harder. What we have seen is that the emphasis on algebra has increased over the years. So earlier there would be fewer questions, but now we see that the next 7 out of 22 questions come from algebra. So if you see, this is 12 out of 22, this algebra is another 7. So 19 out of 22 is done over here only in 3 topics. Arithmetic plus geometry plus algebra is 19 out of 22 questions. So you can understand how important these 3 topics are. But algebra is difficult. Arithmetic is easy, geometry is moderately hard, algebra is also moderately hard. I'm not dissuading you from doing it, especially questions like quadratic equations are not hard at all. So there are parts within algebra which are simple, like quadratic equations, like linear equations and inequalities. These are easy. So there are easy parts to algebra which you should actually focus on acing. But there are some parts which are harder, like polynomial equations, like progressions and series. Those are questions that take time to solve. So in all of these cases, what should be your first thing? that I should first ace arithmetic and geometry. Even in geometry, there are easy questions that I should focus on. Then I should focus on the easy parts of algebra, which are also the basic building blocks of algebra. Linear equation and inequalities are basic building blocks of algebra. Then go to quadratic equations, then go to further parts of algebra. And if you get these two things right, there is no stopping you. Even if you see over here, this algebra plus arithmetic would be like 90%, 80-90% of your CAT quant. So just three things that you have to really focus on. And your practice should also be in this particular ratio. Arithmetic should be like 40% of your practice time, geometry another 10-20% of your practice time, algebra another 10-20% of your practice time. If you internalize that, you will realize that many students make the mistake of not solving enough arithmetic questions. They feel it is easy, they ignore that topic and go to other topics, and that's why they lose out on marks. They have not spent the time getting really good at it. Do not make the mistake. Make sure you spend a lot of time on arithmetic and geometry as such. Okay, let me see a few questions that come. Okay, should I focus on learning all the concepts first and then move to question practice entirely, or just learn one concept and practice in tandem? Do both. So basically what you do is that you have concepts. Each concept video comes with concept test. So the minute you are done with the concept, take the concept test. Also, in between, whenever you have done two concepts, you have some idea of the overall portion, the basics are done. Start taking the topic test in tandem with it. Basically, as you are working through a particular topic, start taking the topic tests along with it. You will see that even in our study plan, many topics are close together. They are not spread out over the entire thing. So, you will be like doing logarithms in 1 week. You will be doing modern maths connected to each other. So whenever you are doing that, basically what you should do is that, okay, I have logarithms in 1, 2, 3, 4. I have done the 4 videos that are concerned with logarithms. Now I can start practicing questions from logarithms, and we'll try to put study room goals accordingly, where once you are done with the topic, you can start practicing. But even when in the absence of a study room goal, you should start taking topic tests in tandem with it. Remember, you're not going to run out of questions in topic tests, because topic tests have thousands of questions and you're not going to finish solving them. So this is not a resource that you're wasting as such. So start practicing as much as possible while you're learning. Okay. Okay. May I know the books needed to purchase for preparing for CAT? I would suggest that instead of books, try to take Kraku's course. If you're looking for practice, Kraku's study room is excellent for it. If you're looking for concept coverage, please do check out Kraku's 7-month plan. At the very basic, if you're looking for free resources, check out Kraku's previous year's CAT papers. We have put every previous year CAT paper. Just Google search for them, the previous year CAT paper, and try to solve at least one of them before April end. It is very important that you have that one data point to understand where you stand with respect to the competition. Okay. Okay. Rajeev, you should firstly you should ace the traditional methods. If you have a good conceptual base, then you will at least know how to solve. But even then, you should also be using, while you are solving, you should be looking at options. While you are solving, you should be looking at smarter ways of reducing the amount of complexity that is required. Because essentially, if you know how to solve, you will always have the option of continuing on that path and getting the answer eventually. But if you know quickly looking at the options that this is not possible, it would just make your task easier, and you might not have to go all the way to find the answer, and you might just use the options to actually reduce the time required. But knowing that path is also important, because it's important to start going down on that path, and middle you can say that, okay, I got that x and y are both have to be even numbers based on this equation. Now, if they both have to be even numbers, then you can go and look at the options and try to eliminate some of the options smartly. So always know the traditional methods and then look for the smarter methods to actually this. If you start with only learning the shortcuts, then you will not be able to solve at all. So don't just focus exclusively on the shortcuts. The traditional methods firstly should be your base, and from there, when you know that you can get to the answer, you should just take the shortcuts to reduce on the time required, not to get to the answer as such. Okay. Now let's take a look at the other topics that come, which is basically modern maths and number systems. a lot of people have a lot of fear of modern maths, especially logarithm surds, probability, functions and graphs. See, probability, a lot of people have difficulty understanding probability, and if you're somebody who is from a non-engineering background, you might as well leave it, because one question is going to come on it and there's no real point stressing on this particular topic. If it is something that is completely counterintuitive to you, just ignore probability. Probably it is not the most thing that you should be stressing about. You should definitely know the base concepts and counting, methods of counting and all, but do not stress about it, because it is one question as such. If you have engineering background, if you have understanding of probability and permutations and combinations, this one question will generally be on the easier side when it comes to probability. But what you should actually focus on more in modern maths is this part is your friend. Even if you are engineer, non-engineer, whatever is your background, logarithm, surds and indices are generally super easy, because the logarithm, surds and indices have like a list of formulae. You mug those formulae, you practice those formulae, you will be able to solve any question from that. It might take time, but you will be able to solve. So if you are a non-engineer, this should be something that comforts you, because there is nothing really to mug in arithmetic. You either understand the problem or you don't understand the problem. There's nothing much you can actually like formulate in algebra as such. So how do you actually have areas where you can actually improve on? That is where you have to just remember things, and mostly if you remember modern maths formulas, the logarithm formulas, you will be able to solve all of the questions that come from it. So if you are a hard worker, this is your friend. You can remember the formulas, then this is something where you can actually outpace your competition as such. Now, functions and graphs are difficult. These are difficult questions. They are not easy to solve, but there are easier tips and tricks to actually solve them quickly. We have a good concept coverage of that, especially how to quickly solve functions and graphs. We have looked into that. So do not be overwhelmed by this. This is something that can be handled. But basically, this is lower priority. This is lower priority. This is something that you should not be spending a whole lot of time on. Remember, if you're spending 20-30% of your practice time doing functions and graphs and probability, that's not a very smart move. Especially if you look at, say, 2021, there was hardly any weightage for these. 2 out of 22 is like a fairly low weightage topic as such. Now then you will have some questions from number systems, some questions from Venn diagrams. These are also some number systems used to be hugely important, but since they started putting the calculator in that exam, the number of questions that come from pure number systems has gone down. Number systems might come as part of other things like progressions in series, but pure number systems is not that often asked. Having said that, questions like HCF and LCM are still very important. So you should have a good hold on the base concepts of number systems. But I hope that the main idea of this particular table is conveyed. Do very, very well in arithmetic. It is fundamental to doing well in quant. Have a lot of practice of geometry, a lot of practice of algebra. Next, after that, you should try to make friends with logarithms and surds. That will help you. That will be the booster you need to actually do well in your final list. There are some topics which are lower priority, but you should definitely not skip them. But your practice should be on the basis of this weightage, that they are low weighted, so the time you spent on it should also not be a disproportionate amount of time. Now we come to the last topic of DILR section. Just let me know if you have any other things that you need to ask. And those who have joined us late, I would request all of you guys to please like this stream. It motivates us quite a bit to reach more students. It motivates us to hold more of these streams. We're trying to hold streams almost every single day. So please motivate us by liking the stream and sharing them with whoever is preparing for CAT. Okay. And whatever question you have, please do ask over here and we'll try to answer them. Okay. And started revisions, but I feel my speed and solution quality is not up to the mark. Can you give some pointers to remove that? I see basically Kartikeya, focus on accuracy at the moment. You're in April, so your initial focus should always be on accuracy. You have time to improve the attempt rate. Your concept coverage, if it is good, that is a very good starting point. Now focus on getting your accuracy right. It should be above 80%, and as you solve more and more, your shift will move towards from concept coverage to practice, and your attempt rate will automatically improve. Focus now on accuracy. any book for this. I won't suggest a book, Danish. I would suggest that you keep practicing from study room and from previous year's paper. Your target should be that in 15 minutes or you should be able to solve all questions that are there, 5 questions that are there in every topic test. See, basically you should try to see how much time you take for 5 questions. Is it 15 minutes? It is 10 minutes. So try to increase your speed in that way. Books are not a good tracker of your speed or attempt rate as such. Okay, now let's come to the DILR section. Coin picking game. See, I'll just actually talk about that over here. So I'll cover that part over here. Don't worry about that. Which arithmetic topics are to be solved. SK, that should depend on your particular strengths. I feel that I'm fairly good at arithmetic, so I generally start with that. But essentially I keep going through one by one through the section whenever I come across a question which I feel firstly is taking too much time to read and is likely going to take a lot of time to solve. I skip it. I don't look at topics because there isn't enough time to pick topics as such, but you should look at the question as such. But I always make sure that I solve certain types of questions. So if there is any question where it is say for example ranges or domains or like functions, ranges and domain, because they are easy to solve, they are quicker to solve. If there are any questions which are on mixtures and solutions, I always solve because they are also quicker to solve. They will be under 3-minute questions and you need a lot of under 3-minute questions so that you are able to solve the entire paper on time. On an average, you should be doing less than 3 minutes per question. So that should be your, less than 2 minutes per question. So you should be trying to find as many of those kind of questions as possible. Okay, now let us take a look at this DILR section. Okay. Some people say solving 9 to 10 question can fetch 90 percentile. If you get all 10 correct, 100% accuracy, then yes. But that's a big if, because if you solve 10 questions, then the chances are that you will get like 7 correct, 3 wrong. Then you won't be able to get 90 percentile. So essentially, if you have at 100% accuracy, then yes, you can solve lesser questions. But 100% accuracy is this. Focus on getting 80% accuracy. That's a good level to have. And from there, you should try to increase the number of questions you attempt from like 9, 10 to like 12, 13. So that should be the baseline you should target for getting a good attempt or a good score in quant. Okay. Okay, now let's get started with the DILR section. See, in the DILR section, what happens is that every year TE paper setters try to surprise us. So I can't tell you for sure what is going to come in the DILR section. But the trends that I have observed is that almost always this year there were 4 sets, like 2 6-question sets and 2 4-question sets. Almost always what I have observed is that there is one across the recent years CATs is that there is at least one question on arrangements or puzzle. So there will be one puzzle basically arranging people, linear arrangement, circular arrangement across a table. Those are the basic forms of arrangement. But there are more subtle forms of arrangement which is basically like your Einstein's puzzle, arrangement in a schedule. All of these are also very important forms of arrangement that come almost regularly. So that is something that you should develop a certain level of proficiency in. That is your base case scenario. So that basically means if you can solve any arrangement question, any puzzles question, then what happens is that out of these 4 sets, there is at least one set you can solve. And once you get one set right, you have solved one set, you get so much confidence that that confidence will carry you with the other sets. So always start with solving as many arrangements and puzzles questions as you can. Focus on getting that concept right, getting the concept clear, and then solve as many from arrangements and puzzles as possible. It becomes very repetitive after some time, and that repetitiveness is good for you because you can then do pattern recognition. You can say that okay, this looks like a linear arrangement. Quickly can solve this, and I can move ahead. So solve as many arrangements and puzzles as possible. The second thing that comes very, very often, and comes because you have to strike a balance between DI and LR, is questions based on data. So there are few ways in which they can manipulate data. They can give you cumulative data. Came in CAT 2020, I think. They can give you data with missing values. They can give you data with two connected data sets. Basically tables with 2 connected data sets. They can give you tables with missing values. They can give you cumulative data. They can give you data based on ranges. They can give you data over the years. So there is only like fixed number of ways in which they can manipulate the data and put it in a table. The answer is also simple. You have to just convert this data and put it on another table. The answer is super simple if you get in the habit of solving these kind of again, if you practice them, you will find them trivially easy. So these two generally are some things that you can rely on in your CAT DILR attempt. Then you have charts. Charts have made a reappearance in CAT 2021 after being missing in this for like a couple of years. So charts are something that come very often. You can have like weird charts like radar charts and spider web charts, etc. Or you can have simpler charts, for example, your bar graphs and line graphs and pie charts. But they have generally come in almost most of the CATs. So if you are somebody who can read charts quickly, easily, have an intuitive understanding of charts, then you can do very well in this particular topic. So this is the order I would suggest that you go ahead. Start with arrangements and puzzles, go on to table kind of sets, see charts based sets. Venn diagram based sets and theory sets are not common. They have come for a few years, but they have not come for the last couple of years. But they are super easy, which means that if it comes, you will easily be able to solve it, provided you have some exposure to them. So that's why I put them at 4, even though they are not very common. They are super easy and you should not miss them. Then you come to enumeration based sets, which are not your friend. Enumeration based sets take a lot of time, and at times you might miss a case which makes the entire set wrong. The enumeration case sets are hard and take a lot of time, and if you might have solved 100 enumeration based sets, it does not make the 101st enumeration based set any easier. So it is one of those sets where I feel that there isn't much you can do about it. You can solve a few questions so you get exposure to how to go about them, but essentially they are the kind of sets which I try to avoid. Having said that, there are some people who have a lot of intuitive sense of enumeration cases. Enumeration cases basically means that, okay, you are given that A has gotten this, a person say Smita has scored A, B, C, D, E in this particular topic, and the sum of her scores is say 68, with the min being this and the max being that. And then you have to find out how many ABC values, given that they will be like integral values, actually identify that. So you'll have to say that, okay, min is 15, say, and no, not min can be not be 15, say min is 12 and max is say 20. So how many cases can you have where min is 12 and max is 20? How many cases of A, B, C, D, E can you actually have? And there will be few cases, because basically at least the base case is that all are 12, then you get 60, you get a overflow of 8. So essentially you just have to say that, okay, the one case is you have 12, 12, 12, 12 and 20. So this is one case. Then you say you have 12, 12, 12, 13 and 19. 12, 12, 12, 12, 13, 13, 18. So basically you have to enumerate all these cases. The pitfall is that you can miss a case and this takes a lot of time. Not your friend, but some people have an intuitive sense of it. If you are do well in those sets, please do solve it. Now come these sets based on games and tournaments. Also hard, but if you solve a few games and tournament sets, this become easier to solve. So it's something that you can actually improve on. So having said that, this should be the base of your attempt. This is something you should try to do if you have the chance to get very, very good at DILR puzzles. Then these are these sets which are easier. They are not very difficult. Team selection, roots and networks, scheduling, 2D, 3D reasoning. Somebody said coin picking. They are actually very simple sets. If you know the representation format, how to solve them, the basic trick of how to solve them, they are trivially easy. But what happens is that they don't come often, because they are trivially easy to somebody who knows how to solve the coin puzzle. They are trivially easy. So that's why they are not repeated often, or if they might come once. So roots and networks comes once in a while, 2D, 3D reasoning comes in once in a while. And they essentially, you can think of it in this way. If you have 4 sets, one will be arrangements, one will be either a table or a chart, one will be either enumeration based on games or tournaments or a combination of that, and one will come from these random sets which are rotated through over the years. So basically these are less likely and they come once in a while. I'm not saying that you should not learn from them, but you can rely that this will come as such. What you can rely on is that puzzles will come. What you can definitely rely on is either charts or table based sets will come. So you can say that that will be my 1 and 2 attempt in the attempt as such. Once you have that, you can get some amount of mental confidence that, okay, I know at least some things that I can solve in DILR set. I'm not going in completely blank as such. So these are, this is the priority order. Get very good at arrangements and puzzles, get very good at table based sets, get very good at charts. Then come to the harder sets which are enumeration based, puzzle, games and tournaments. Then come to the one-off sets, which are like team selection, etc. The number of questions you solve from all the topics should also be in that particular ratio. So this is basically what I want you to keep, what you should keep in mind while solving, the priority order that you should solve. And remember, your practice rate should be in this ratio. It's also, do not solve a lot of games and tournaments questions while ignoring arrangements, because games and tournaments questions, while they do come less often than arrangements questions come. So remember this priority order while solving questions also. So I'll answer any questions that you guys have put over here. Should we while attempting the section, should we solve the questions which take less time first, or the ones which are familiar even though a bit longer? Solve the ones with the less time first, because essentially if you start feeling that okay, I have spent 4 minutes or 5 minutes on the first question, you get stressed out. So always solve the first questions, easier questions first. If you start feeling that okay, I am 20 minutes in, I have already solved 10 questions, you get this huge mental boost from that, and that will actually keep you going through the last leg. By the time you are actually at the last end of the this, you will be slightly tired, you will be making mistakes. So solve the faster ones first, always. How to manage time and accuracy at the same time, Abhilash? You actually maximize on one instead of the other. You have to first maximize on accuracy so that you maintain like an accuracy of 80%, and while holding 80% accuracy, you try to improve the attempt rate. So 80% accuracy basically means that you spend enough amount of time on a question that you know how to solve it. If you don't know how to solve it, you do not attempt it, you do not mark anything. And then when you realize that okay, I'm maintaining 80% accuracy, how do I improve my attempt rate? So if you're starting off with attempting 10 questions, try to make it 12 questions over time, then 14, then 16. That should be your idea of how to improve at them. Okay. Now I'll coming to DILR section, I'm able to solve about 7 to 8 questions out of the 10, but end up taking more time, more than the given time. How to improve speed? See, basically you should be targeting that understanding the DI or LR set and representing that information should be done in 8 minutes. So basically the minute you get to the DILR set, you have to start thinking, how am I going to categorize this information from this to something that will help me answer the question. That should be done quickly. If you're not able to do that, move on to a different LR set. If you think that reading this, understanding this information and categorizing it is going to take me more than 10 minutes, then look for sets which actually will save you time. The set selection also matters in those kind of cases. So I hope I have answered all of your questions, and those who are preparing for CAT, please do check out our 7-month batch. It started Monday, and we are just starting with the preparation. So please do check out our 7-month batch. Those of you who are looking to answer or like start their preparation, start with answering previous year's papers. Do Google search Krakows previous year's CAT papers, and we have all the previous year's CAT papers in mock format. They are absolutely free. You do not have to pay anything for them. They are available as PDF download. So please do check them out and make sure that you solve from them, because that is the essential starting point for your preparation. Okay, so thank you everybody who joined us. Thank you for this. How to check which set to solve, how to make a call to leave a set. So your set to solve, basically you should, after reading the set, you should know like even an overview, quick overview, you should know this is a puzzle or not. You should know how many steps are there in the puzzle. You should see, okay, this is a games and tournament set, there are 2 parts to this set. So you will get a rough idea of how much time it will take based on experience. Also, you will have your innate sense of what you are good at. So I know that I'm better at arrangements than games and tournaments. So that helps me pick which one I'll solve, which one I'll not solve. So you will have to have an idea of your strengths and weaknesses also to do that. Okay. So thank you very much all those who have joined us, and hope you keep on preparing. Thank you very much.